This podcast is sponsored by Relevant, a location-based mobile network personalized by your interests. Customize your news feed to consolidate all the information you care about all in one place to quickly and easily find what's relevant to you. Find out what's going on in your local area and reach your community from the palm of your hand. Relevant is available on iOS and coming soon to Android. Be the first to know with Relevant.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Poorly Edited Podcast, and we are live once again at WXLV The X. This is the show that's dedicated to putting a spotlight on the most creative and interesting minds that we can find. My name is Zachary Gerhart. I'm here with my two lovely co-hosts, Amresse Farrow and Patrick Lilly. Today's really exciting for a lot of reasons. One, we are doing the ribbon cutting ceremony here at WXLV, which is the new Media and Design Center here at LCCC, which is really cool. We're very happy to finally have a home again. And most importantly, super exciting here, we are lucky enough to have on a man with a career in Hollywood that has gone on for decades. And he's been in a list that goes on and on and on of all these TV shows and movies. He's actually just dipped his feet into making movies of his own. Mr. Daniel Roebuck, how you doing today?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. When you said that you have the most interesting and exciting people on your radio show, I thought, oh gosh, I can't wait to see who the guest is. Yeah. and then it turns out that you're evidently at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And you got me. So all right, I'm going to try to do. I'm no Stephen Hawking, but
fine.
he's by the way, he wasn't a very good interviewee, as I understood.
Yeah.
A lot of
he did his best.
Yeah. I'm really smart, not you. I mean, that gets boring a lot.
That could be true.
So thank you. Anyway, it's very nice to be here. It's so interesting. You guys tell them there's a lot of excitement going on. They're doing this ribbon cutting. People keep coming in here and they're completely underwhelmed by everything that they see. You three exciting people here and big movie star like me. And
I know.
They don't care.
There's VR going on. I've never seen VR in real life. And there's a guy out there just like twirling his arms around.
No, it's
pretty great.
It's crazy.
I know.
This guy arrived with a camera acting like he was going to be there for photography, then just picked up this VR, and he was like, this is all I'm doing today.
He's doing
which
VR.
I love.
Yeah. It's funny, you guys, if you haven't done it, really, I think this is going to be a new thing that, how people on YouTube, they watch other people play video games.
Yeah.
And we should start like a channel. Why are we saying this out loud?
Twitch channel?
Let's make a Twitch channel where we watch this dude do VR so he doesn't know how odd he looks.
Yeah.
Even
Little
though
do
he's
you know that's actually in the
my great idea.
Hey, you're involved in video games yourself. Tell us a little bit about your past video games and what's going on with that.
Oh yeah, like if you're viewers, I said if you're watching this, you're a viewer because it's a podcast, so you could be watching it. So I was in the first game I ever did was a very special game called L.A. Noire, which was one of the first times they actually put our faces in the video games, our whole bodies, not just our bodies, but our faces. So when I watch L.A. Noire, it's like watching Tron, I'm Jeff Bridges, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm in the game.
That game is fascinating too, because it's like there's a detective going around solving mysteries. So like they interview the people and they mocap the faces in. So you can read their faces as the game's going on to see if you think they're lying or whatever.
And you should know that we were directed to lie and directed to tell the truth. Now, imagine that from an actor's point of view. Now, because look, I was like, I don't mean to burst anybody's bubble, but we are lying. That's our job.
Right.
So if you want me to tell the truth in a lie, I don't know that that's possible. So it was certainly an exercise in acting to do that. But you are right. And the people had to determine. Now, if everyone says, I saw you in the game and I arrested you, and I said, now, I play, I think, a child molester or something. I'm like, why didn't you shoot me? Yeah. And they go, it never occurred to me because you're my friend. No, shoot me because I know that I recorded and filmed, all that stuff.
You got to get the mileage out of the lines you put in.
I did, right. I got a lot out of it. And then the other game I was in was Dead Rising 3. I play really? Gary. So if you watch Dead Rising 3 and you see Gary, you'll see he moves like me and he sounds like me and he talks like me and he acts like me, but he doesn't really look like me. And in the next project I'm doing, we're also doing mocap as well. So that should be very interesting.
And you have a very big project coming out that you can't say anything about right now.
I can just say it's...
We're going to check in soon on that.
Yeah. When it comes out, we're going to talk about it, but it's so cool.
Very excited. So since we can't talk about that, let's talk a little bit about Getting Grace.
Oh,
the movie
yes, thank you.
that you directed that was entirely filmed here in our Lehigh Valley.
Yes.
That was I've seen a million flyovers of LA, so I feel like I know that city. So it was refreshing seeing a flyover of a city I've actually been to.
Oh, yeah, and live in or go
Right.
by. Thank you. Yeah, we had Ted Rosenberger of Verde View. He has a company here in town, actually, who worked on most of those flyovers. There's one or two drone shots snuck in there as well, but most of the really high altitude stuff is Ted.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to know, this town must have had such a strong impact on you for you to come back and decide that this was going to be the location of where you were going to shoot your first film. So what happened? What made it so important for you to come back here to do this?
Isn't that funny? It's like, what happened to make you want to come back here?
Well,
no, I'm only, Zach, I'm kind of mentioning it because it is, a lot of people will say, I'm from Toledo, a great town to be from. And Bethlehem is a great town to come home to. And you're always home if you come from Bethlehem or the Lehigh Valley. We always try to say the Lehigh Valley. It's just like saying, you can't say Pete's hot dogs. You got to say Potts, Pete's, and Yanko's.
Yeah.
You got to give all three. So
what's your favorite out of those three?
I love them all. Good try.
I don't know about that.
You're not going to get me to. You're
On
not
the
going to
way
get me
in
to
here-
spill.
I was trying to start some drama, but
On the way in here, Pat was like, I'm going to get him to answer
Yeah.
this question. I said, I don't think so.
I'm too smart for you.
that's the hard-hitting journalism I could come up with.
Yeah, that was good. No, look, that's the question everyone wants to know. Anyway, so getting back to your very good question, I love the Lehigh Valley. It had such an impact on me. And by the way, not just because I lived here, but you guys understand this. I started creating art here as a young person. I was a magician. I was in a circus that originated out of Easton. We toured all over Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. I did theater, did the Playhouse. I started producing my own plays, started writing my own plays that were being produced. That was the last thing I did before I left town. I wrote a play, and they did it at the Civic Little Theater, now the Civic Theater. So it's not just a place that I'm from. It's a place where I learned to create and be a creator. And that is why I wanted to come back here to be creative.
So tell us in your own words what Getting Grace is about and what it means to you.
Thank you. All right. So Getting Grace is about, now I always have to say, but it's a comedy. It's about a teenage girl dying of cancer who goes into a funeral home to find out what's going to happen to her, after she dies. And she ends up teaching the funeral director how to celebrate life. What it has meant to me is finally an opportunity to create content that represents my heart. Because I just love God and I love life and I love everything God's given me. And so much content, you young people listening to this podcast may not be aware, but they're selling nihilism to you constantly. They're selling depressing, end of world, end times, Martians from space, whatever, Avengers thing is coming out. You're selling you desperation and horror, and that's not what life is about. Life is about celebrating. I'm sorry, I was on a soapbox. Let me get off that. Okay, I'm fine now. It was high up there. I'm sorry, I got a bloody nose. I was so high on my soapbox. Yes.
A common misconception is that you wrote the movie based on your daughter.
Oh.
And some people actually think that your daughter was sick.
Yeah, she gets get well cards. No.
Yeah, but it happens that that another gentleman wrote it, Jeff Lewis,
Yeah,
right?
Jeff Lewis, right.
Lewis wrote it, originally titled Bending Spoons, and the main character was so much like your daughter, right?
Yes, that's all
and you
correct.
kind of changed it up a little
Yeah,
bit to
she-
Getting Grace. So how has this been in your family, this movie that is inspired by your own daughter that has been like 30 years in the making, I think?
Yeah, he said he wrote the screenplay in 1988. I just found that out a few months ago. We were in a Q&A and I was like, what? Because I got it in about 2007. I thought he had just written it. But isn't that interesting, the things you learn?
Yeah.
And he had named the main character Grace, and the main character was... it's hard to explain my daughter. I wish she was here because, you would have your hand over the bleep button. You would just be resting it there because she's unable to not say something really ridiculous. And I thought that the character was kind of like that, but I put more of it in, and definitely in the rewrite we kind of we imbued more of the character with my daughter and gave her more of a gallows humor, which is how my daughter would have approached the situation. Thankfully, she never had to deal with.
I really like the fact that Grace wasn't like there's some movies where like a character's like illness and then they're like defined by the illness, but Grace was really like her character stood on her own and then she happened to have cancer. It wasn't like she was the character with cancer. She was like Grace and she had I don't know.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
God, good for you. Yeah. I mean, that's an enormously important fact, and I think why people are embracing the movie so much is because it's a cancer movie, but it's not about cancer. Mm-hmm. It's a movie about faith and life. That's what it's about. You know, look, we're all going to die. I hate to drop that on your listeners. I don't want to be a downer, but we're all going. In our fictional character knew she was going sooner than later, but I could leave right now and go. You know what I mean? So are you living your life as if you're already dead? Are you living it as if you've accomplished everything you've ever going to be accomplished? Are you just sitting home and smoking a bowl and thinking, wow, this is pretty good? Well, that's not why you're here, man. Get out, get some fresh air, and live, man. Do something for someone else.
That comes across in the movie very well. You almost forget what's going on sometimes because who she is as a character is so apparent. And that's such an important part of the story. The story comes down to the characters, and really nailed it on that for sure.
Oh, thank you. That's very gracious. Thank you.
Speaking of characters, your son is in this movie. Your son, Buster Roebuck, plays you in the movie. By the way, we share a birthday.
Wait.
November 16th.
Oh, you and Buster?
Yeah, we share a birthday.
Hey,
I found that out.
He just turned 21.
I just turned 23.
Isn't that great? And then, isn't that interesting? And Grace just turned 23 4 days later. An odd factoid, my children's birthdays are 4 days apart, and so are their mother and me.
Well,
our birthdays are 4 days apart.
Both?
Thank you.
So your son played you. What was that like?
Well, it's so funny. Jeff didn't have that backstory in the original script, and we always felt like one of our first conversations was about why is Bill Bill? Yeah. Because you're saying the character. Yeah, you got to create a reason for someone to be like that. This is the difference between, I think, a deeper film and a regular film that you might find anywhere else. Characters have to have a reason. So I didn't have a reason for Bill, and but I had this joker in the deck. I had this kid who looked just like me, much to his disparagement and depression. He looks just like me. So we do a little switcheroo in the scene, and we go from me to him. And I'll tell you, people don't know it's him. It's my son. They go. I sit next to him in the theater because they don't know what is it? What are they seeing? Where would you find an actor who looks?
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, wow, they nailed the casting on that one. Wow.
And he does, for a kid who's not an actor. Buster wants to be a fireman. For a kid who's not an actor, he's so sublime, and he delivers. When you see the film, folks, when you see it, you'll see he had to. I never told him how important his job was, because if he blew his moment, then why would my character, it wouldn't make sense, right? So I never was like, this is the most important moment in the movie, Buster, don't blow it. I was just like, you'll do fine.
But you're right, for me, it was the most important part of the movie. It really ties the whole thing together, and it just adds so much more depth to it, and you suddenly feel so much more for that character.
That's probably the best advice to give him, because in that scene, he's supposed to be living like that.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be living like he's just like...
Loving life.
Just doing it.
Buster provided that scene where you finally got what you were waiting for, which is that moment to understand Bill, where he was coming from, and why he was so uptight about things that were going on in his life, and why he was so apprehensive towards Grace, and how full of life she was. And I mean, the comical part about this is that he is a funeral director. Bill is. Yeah. So your son did a great job.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
So you worked with your daughter's the inspiration for the movie. Buster plays you.
Grace worked on the movie too, by the way. She was there for the shooting.
Grace was on the shooting. She came in about halfway through, right?
Yeah,
she's shooting.
I think about a third of the way. She was. I remember mostly there, because I remember mostly going, Grace, Quiet. Grace.
You had her, your wife,
My wife
your
produced the movie.
father,
Yeah, my dad was an extra. My mother.
the whole family.
My mother came by. There's no reason you can't create art with people you love. There really is not any reason to not do it. If you have a relationship in which the person supports you, and that's really the key to any. You can't be creative if someone doesn't support you, right? So if you have people who love and support you, then include them in the process.
I mean, you're coming home, so what better time is it than now?
And by the way, it wasn't just like, so you're right about that, but my family's, let's say, extensive family, like you guys work together. Do you know, we had 21 graduates, I think I counted, 21 graduates of Bethlehem Catholic High School were on or involved in some key way in the making of the movie. Wow. From producing it to starring in it to working on the lighting crew to catering, still photography. I mean, just from my high school, and Dimitri Heron, who owns Heron's Funeral Home, where we shot the movie, went to high school with me. We're alumni together of the class of '81. I know I look a lot older, but that's just because I let my hair go gray.
You let your hair go gray?
Well,
what's the secret?
Yeah.
Please. I guarantee you I get a lot of people want to know the answer to that.
Yeah. If you're looking at me thinking, how does he look so good? Why? The older people are so confused. I remember you from Matlock. Were you Matlock? No, I was his assistant. No, he was a little boy. It was 30 years ago. Anyway.
Yeah. Going back that far, since we're there, I had read that you very early on started telling your parents, I'm going to be on TV.
It's
and,
true.
I heard you say that a couple of weeks ago, too, when you were here. So I imagine that's an attitude that you just kept with and you carried through. Like, I'm always going to do this. I'm always going to get there.
Yeah.
How important was that in achieving your success?
Well, I think that I had a very clear idea of what exactly was going to happen in my life from the time I was very young. And I believe that the question is, how did I get from there to here? That's what I say. How did I get from the boy who's going to be on TV to being on TV? And that's that I made every decision which would lead me toward that goal. I was not deterred by people who said you couldn't do it. Yeah. I was not deterred by the fact that I lived in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I eventually moved to Hollywood, California, where they make TV. I did everything I could in order to fulfill that dream. A lot of people have dreams, but they fail at following through. Folks, while we're talking, just so you don't think it's very loud. They're cutting the ribbon for this amazing facility, and so we're talking over each other, but we're hearing people yelling in the other room. We think that they're hopefully not demanding that you guys edit. Maybe you're supposed to edit edit less poorly.
I'm not concerned with what they want. It's perfectly fine.
Oh, good man, good man. That's a real artist right there, folks.
The name of the show just says it. We're not gonna edit that out.
Yeah.
We like to set the bar low, so we can only go up from there.
Something that I absolutely love that you said is
Please.
You gave an interview and you talked about your time with the Pennsylvania Playhouse, which meant so much to you. You sat on the board of directors at 15 years old, and you said that you never felt out of place because everyone treated you maturely like you're an adult because you never gave them a reason not to. And you just went for your dreams, didn't care what age you were or who you were. And that's something here with Poorly Edited and Lab 212 that we really try to do. No matter where you come from, how old you are, that you can do anything as long as you put your mind to it. And that's really what you did.
Well, it's interesting, too, because this is a younger world. My gosh, I wish that I was you now, because now I'm like, what does that old guy want? And I'm like, no, I still have a young brain. I'm thinking like a young person. But the being on the board of directors and whatnot, that was so great for me, because I kind of learned how organizations worked, and I learned how you can't die on every hill, right? Sometimes you win them, sometimes you lose them, and, when you lose them, you move on. But what it did teach me really was that I did not want to be held back by a committee's idea of art. I'm a democratic, or whatever we call ourselves. Someone says we're not a democracy, we're something else. But I know we're not a communist socialist enclave, and I don't want anybody's opinion on how to make my art. Please bring me your money. I need your money, but I don't need. And I'm not being rude about that. Like, you need patrons to create art. Look, if the Vatican wasn't paying, Michelangelo, we wouldn't have the David. We wouldn't have, there's a lot of stuff that we wouldn't have if people didn't pay for it. Because nobody would be like, what I like to do? I like to spend the next 17 months carving Mary and Jesus.
And not eating.
Yeah, and not eating.
Because I don't have the money for
it. Anyway, so I do need art. I'm not being a flip about the blessings that people who invest give me. What I'm saying is invest in the profit, not the process.
Did you ever think that as a little boy that just wanted to be an actor that you would come back to the Lehigh Valley, film a movie, be the director, and then come to Arts Quest and win the Lilly Award of the Lehigh Valley?
Oh, yeah, that was really sweet. Those Lilly people, the Arts Quest. Look, here's the thing. So I've got a very high altitude view of Bethlehem, higher probably than you see in the movie, because being someone who left and watched the city grow. Now, you guys weren't born yet, but when the steel left, people were like, well, that's that. We'll just, that's that.
Didn't Billy Joel write a song about Bethlehem?
Yeah, he wrote that song about Allentown, and he always claimed that he used Allentown just because of its rhythmic quality. Allentown, and Bethlehem were 3-syllable, rhymable words. But, everything was going to crap, and you know what brought it back here? There was city and Lehigh Valley people who would not let industry die. That's the first thing. We have to give credit to the people who kept shining a light on the possibilities for other companies to come. But the other foundation that was built here, the cornerstone laid, was art has become an enormously I'm sorry, it's such a big part. This is what happens when you're 55. It's the art is the it's the thing holding this town together. It's words just leave sometimes. Isn't that hard?
It's always people around here say there's nothing going on, which is always kind of annoying because I feel like there's so much going on.
There's nothing going on.
Yeah,
that's so ridiculous. They're like, there's this. There's really not a lot to do. All we really have is the symphony, the Allentown Band, Towns Valley Playhouse, the Civic Theater, Civic Little Theater, theater at all the colleges, bands. Radio shows originating here.
But who needs that?
Who needs that? Because I just want to complain.
I can't just stay at home and complain. That's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's easier to just pack that bowl and say there's nothing happening. But if you put the pipe down, go outside.
It's nice.
It's a little chilly at first, but then once you're outside, you'll be like, oh gosh, I can go over to the theater, or I can go to a movie, or I can go to a band. That's crazy to me? If anybody, I've been places where nothing's happening. Yeah. This is not that place.
Yeah, for sure.
I was married for 19 years. I know about nothing happening. Thank you.
While we still have you, I want to talk a little bit about the book that you're starting to write, which is titled Audition is the Job and Other Truths I Have Learned in the Land of Make-Believe.
Oh, yes.
And one of the things I heard you talk about a couple weeks ago when you were here is how you sort of didn't listen to what people told you about auditions, and you sort of had your own approach about it. If you want to talk a little bit about that in the book.
Oh, yes. Thank you. So, guys, it's funny when you're an actor. Maybe it's I don't wonder if it's like, here's how to be on the radio, like a book that everyone's like, you got to get that book. Here's how to be on the radio. Yeah. That was written in 1970, when you still needed a fourth class DJ's license to get on the radio, which you don't need now, right? You can just be on the radio.
Wait, what?
Wait, hold on. Oh, yeah. We filed that paperwork. But actors are, listen, artists are always, there's always fear. It's like, you've got to be afraid because, they're the people hiring you they have all the control. And I maintain that you don't need to give them all the control. We have to maintain the control. So what I'm saying essentially to actors is the audition is yours. So do the best you can. It's the only thing you can control. You can't control the job. You don't know what they're looking for, how much they're paying. Do they need a star? Is the female they got shorter than you? Is she taller than you? If she's taller than you, you're not going to get the job. I can tell you that right now. Is this the time they want to hire a lesbian or homosexual or a little person or a handicapped person? They may get the role instead of you. There's a lot of rules imposed that you have no control about. But what you do have control about is you and what you do. So, and I'm just trying to give people the idea that they can be in control of that moment of their time. And then when it comes to the other truths are as simple as, buy a non-refundable plane ticket and then you'll get a job. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, you hit purchase.
Yeah.
Ring. Hello? Yeah, don't do it. Next Tuesday, you're going to start on 911. Wait, hold on. My finger's still on the other button.
Yeah.
Sometimes I said I used to leave my Orbitz page open just in case God was like checking. He'd be like, "Oh, it looks like he's going somewhere. Let me give him a job." Hey, let's talk about Could We? Because I do want to say, people, there's been a bit of a problem with getting Grace. People can't get it because it's been selling out in the Walmarts near here. And I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm saying if you did want to, there's many places you can find it. Amazon, Walmart, Amazon.com. And this Saturday, if you're listening to this podcast now, you can come meet me at Bethlehem Catholic High School from 11 to 3 p.m. There will be DVDs there. You could buy them or not buy them. That's up to you. We'll have also a great soundtrack, which you can also buy or not buy. And I'll be there. And I'm not for sale. Well, maybe.
Depends on the
Let's
price,
talk about
right?
that at a different time. I think maybe next time they come on.
And Bethlehem Catholic is your alma mater, and Madeline Dundon, who plays Grace in
That's
Getting
right.
Grace.
And that's why we thought we wanted a place where people could have easy access because it's a 4-hour event, and we thought of other places, but then there's nowhere to park or whatever. Yeah. So we'll be in Bethlehem Catholic on the north side of the building, and we'll be there from 11 to 3, and we're happy to look. I'm always happy to meet people and say thank you, and that is a fact. I like to say thank you for what's been given to me, and what's been given to me is an enormous blanket of love and support that I could not have made the movie without that support and that love.
Well, I think I can speak for everybody in the Lehigh Valley. Thank you for what you're doing and bringing you and what you're doing back here to achieve this stuff. Just seeing stuff like the Moravian bookstore in a film and Main Street, like those have been staples of my life when my girlfriend was going to college there. So to see that on the screen and just to see the other things you're doing around the Valley, thank you so much.
Oh, well,
for what
thank
you're
you.
doing.
It's a blessing that you said that. I'm happy to be here, folks. While we're talking, they just cut the new technology building
Right.
is open.
Yeah, they just cut the building in half.
They just
so
cut it in
it's
half.
a little
We
drastic.
gotta close it back down.
Yeah,
We'll
we
be
got
back.
to hose that back up. What's interesting is, think of this: the Moravian College bookstore. It's a little different now, out of necessity, but we caught it in the movie the way it was.
Yeah.
The Martin Towers are saying they're going to take that down eventually.
Are they? Wow.
That's what
Okay.
they're saying, and it'll be in our movie. And Roadside America, which is one of my favorite places on earth. We've got to help them figure out a way to stay open in this world of new technology. If people find that beautiful family attraction out there on Old Route 22, that may be gone one day. So thank God that we have the medium of film that can make things
Yes.
last forever.
Yeah.
Speaking of lasting forever, unfortunately, I think you have to get going soon.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming
Thank you,
on.
you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. If you're interested in checking out more about Daniel Roebuck and Getting Grace, you can follow them on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank
and thank
you.
you for
And if
everything you're doing.
If I may also offer, if they go to gettinggracethemovie.com, gettinggracethemovie.com, there's a lot of information there. And I'm grateful to you guys. Thank you for everything you do. Listen,
Thank you so much.
you guys, keep it up. Keep the art alive here in the Lehigh Valley
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
everywhere in the world. God bless you.
Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
we're going to a break and we'll be right back.
What's going on, everybody? We are back. We're the Poorly Edited Podcast, and we're live on WXLV the X. I love this. This is great. To actually be back in this setup in the studio. We got some nice microphones. Everything's good. There's so much energy going on right now in here. We have people preparing for shows, and there's tons of great art over in the room next to us. There's some really cool pixel art sort of stuff going on over there, which was really neat.
I was
Wasn't
amazed.
expecting
I didn't know a
anything
lot
like
about
that.
the opening, but there's a ton of stuff going on. I love it.
Yeah, apparently they cut the ribbon. I can see Scott Tyson.
cut the ribbon?
Yeah, they did.
I really
can
wanted
see-
to know who was cutting the ribbon. I was trying to sneak my way onto the list of people to cut the ribbon, but clearly I've missed that opportunity.
Yeah, we were hoping it was like a first come, first serve sort of thing, but I can just see Scott Tice pacing back and forth very quickly. He's wearing a pretty crazy suit. I don't really know how to describe it. He actually wore one yesterday that was even crazier. It had embroidered tigers on it.
I will be posting a photo on our social media. I already talked to him about it. It's great. Scott Tice will never disappoint with anything that he's wearing. It's just amazing.
Where do you get in your life where you're like, yeah, you know what? Embroidered tiger.
I wish I was there. I don't know
Me
how to
too.
get there, but
Me
I wish I
too.
was there.
His personality, his intelligence, his wardrobe. He actually has about 100 Yankee candles all over his house. It's one
What?
of his obsessions. You didn't know that.
That's how you know you've
making
made
that
it.
up?
I'm not making that up. I found that out
He has
about
a
2
Yankee
years ago.
candle obsession?
He has a Yankee candle obsession that his wife has dealt with. And
Dealt with?
they are everywhere.
There's definitely
Oh my
worse
God.
problems to have than
Well,
your house smelling nice.
I mean, your house could burn down if you knock one over.
I don't think he has them all going at the same time.
Well, what's the point? Well, maybe.
We should confirm
What's
that.
the point?
Well, that's almost kind of worrying because that's always like the tropey sort of thing they throw in
Yeah.
TV shows when like the person gets fired and they start a candle making thing and they just
yeah.
like renovate their kitchen and it's just full of candles that are awful and they're trying to sell them and
Well, yeah,
stuff.
life's going great, and they're filling their life with like useless hobbies.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. All right.
All right, so we just had Daniel Roebuck on the show, and we're so extremely
I already
grateful.
miss him.
I miss him too. Where did he go? Is he here? No, we missed him so much already. He was amazing. Thank you so much to him and his whole team, the Getting Grace team. He just gave us a few of the soundtracks for Getting Grace, which is amazing. Some local, all of it actually. The whole thing was produced by local artists.
Really?
People like Alyssa Garcia, Alex Kovacs, who did the whole score for it. Switchback Mountain. Really excited to get to listen to this. So thank you again.
It's just so incredible that he put such an important priority on making sure that it just felt like home. And for him to put in the work of getting so much local talent from schools in the area and bands in the area to really just make this just something special. And I think that's really cool.
And what we didn't get to talk about with him was that this project has given back so much to
Oh, yeah.
the community itself. There's been so many charities that have been benefited and local businesses. Local businesses really just supported him and his time on set. A-Treat, Yakos, all of these
I
different
think
people.
the funeral home.
The funeral home, which was in the movie Jankowski's Funeral Home. All of these different businesses gave their time, their money towards craft services. So the Lehigh Valley really supported it, the movie, and then he supported it right back for their the opening of the movie for the first night. They raised $24,000 to local charities, which is
That's
amazing.
crazy.
Wow.
And thank you to St. Luke's for helping out make
Oh,
this
yeah.
movie.
I
St.
heard
Luke's
about
was
that
a
as
huge
well.
part
Yeah.
of this movie.
That's great.
Yeah. So thank you very much to them. Shout out.
I don't know. It's for some reason it's always weird to me that the regional food here is like hot dogs, and that's like the go-to. There's like a bunch of different hot dog
Is that
places
specifically like Lehigh Valley regionally or?
With
I don't get out a
chocolate
lot.
milk.
With chocolate milk.
With chocolate. That's a big thing that in the movie, when they drank them, they had chocolate milk with them.
I saw the A-Treat stuff a lot too.
Yeah,
For,
A-Treat, yeah.
What was that character's name? The kid, the boy. I don't know, but when
The little boy?
No, the older boy who kisses.
Doug.
Yeah,
Doug.
sure.
His-
Yeah,
yeah, his name was
sure.
Doug.
Right.
But they showed him a couple times with one of those sodas. I'm like, yeah, that factory.
A-Treat actually donated a bunch of sodas for
bet.
their crafty set.
That's good.
Thank you to A-Treat. Can we get A-Treat to donate food for our podcast?
That'd be great.
nice.
Why not?
If I
Yeah.
can see some of that soda.
I don't think they make food. I'm pretty sure it's just soda.
We're up for some sponsorships.
So
A-Treat.
unless you want
Hey.
to eat a soda can, I don't know if that's going to work for you.
That could be a
Really
vlog.
good.
We'll talk about that later.
You know, I haven't actually been to any of those hot dog places. Should I say that? Is
Yeah, I
Daniel
mean,
Roebuck going to
they're
come in
pretty
here
good.
and tackle
We
me?
could do
He
an
did say he loved them
episode.
all.
We could do an
We could do that. Yeah, that might
Do
be
an
fun.
episode in a Yakos.
Well,
I'm
no,
down.
but like, well, yeah, maybe. But even just the video where we we have me try all the hot dogs. And tell which ones are good.
I think my favorite part of Yakko's is it doesn't make any sense. Like, they don't accept credit cards. They're still cash-only business. You walk up to the person you think you should order to, and then a person at the grill yells at you asking what you want.
That's the culture.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it betrays every, like, you think you should be able to walk in and just pay for your food and then, like, leave or whatever.
Like,
But
you know, a normal establishment.
You walk in with your credit card and you're like, you can't pay for that. There's an ATM literally right there next to, like, the condiments.
Yeah.
So you walk over, you know, take like $4 out or whatever you want. Then you walk up and get yelled at by someone who's at the grill, and then, like, I don't know. It's a real experience.
It's kind of weird that, like, you know, they're doing the whole cash only thing, but they put an ATM in the store. Like,
I think it's hilarious. I think it's like
a lot of businesses are like that, though.
No, not a lot. Not recently.
I think
it's a really big thing where it's like we don't care about it.
In the town of Weatherly, it's like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Weatherly again. I'll be honest. But is that even technically the Lehigh Valley?
Shout out to Weatherly. I love
All
you
right,
guys.
whatever. It's fine, but we try here.
My favorite part of the hot dog wars around here is there's a place in Amresse. There's Pot's Hot Dog Barn, which is literally a barn. It's like a little shed in a parking lot that sells hot dogs. And immediately above it, there's a huge billboard that says, like, it's been imitated but never perfected, Yakko's. And it's literally a sign for Yakko's. It's like a minute down the street. It's pretty cutthroat down here with hot dogs.
They're just hot. It's pre-cooked meat that you just reheat up. Like, it's not. How good can it really be?
We're not giving the best promotion for these hot dog places.
I'm just saying,
which have
hot
been
dogs
so supportive.
Yakko's is clearly doing fine if they haven't moved on that credit cards yet, and they're still afloat.
What was that?
Amresse just told the kids next door to quiet down.
Yeah,
I'm like that old
woman.
lady that comes out in the morning. It's like, you kids get off my lawn.
Yeah.
I'm cynical and old, and I'm 85 years old.
Except you're like 23. And they're like,
Not
why
inside.
is she yelling at us?
Not inside. I'm a bit of an old soul. We've got some exciting things going on. Pat and I are.
They're leaving me.
Yeah.
As if I already don't have trust issues. I feel like Amresse now. Like, first it was Chandler and Lizzie, and now it's Pat and Amresse, and
usually I'm
Sam's
the
going to be
one-
next, I'm sure.
Usually I'm the one that feels abandoned, but finally I get to turn the tables on you. So
Finally I get to abandon someone else.
yeah, Pat and I are jetting off to the airport right after this. We're going to go down to Orlando. We're teaming up with Chandler and Lizzie, who are already there right now. This is Pat's first trip by himself.
Oh, boy.
Pat's first time
He's never been
to
out
Florida.
of the county before.
Pat's first time to Florida. Pat's first time to Disney.
Wow. Are you going to go to Disney?
I am.
We are.
Only because Chandler has free tickets to go to Disney.
All right, that's fair enough.
And Pat's first flight. He's never been to.
And maybe my first swamp tour.
Swamp
Are we going to
tour?
go to Gatorland?
I really don't want. My sister, literally, since I've told her about this trip, she's just been looking up swamp tours for me to go on.
How exciting is a swamp tour?
Gatorland is like, it's like the redneck Disney World.
I don't think I want to go there.
All right.
I was there when I was little, and it was amazing. Fun fact, I once fell into a swamp of gators in Jamaica once, a few years back.
Did you make it out alive?
I got all cut up. I got my leg cut up, and there was an alligator very, very close to me.
Dude, my sister said I didn't have to be scared of alligators. She was warning me of like scorpions being in my shoes or something.
Well, yeah,
but not
that's
alligators.
why I don't want to go south. I don't like. I don't
scary.
do the scorpion thing or the giant spider thing. It's
Like
not really my
up here.
thing.
It's pretty much just like we have an agreement with the animals that we have houses and they stay out generally. But I feel like
Like we signed a treaty.
that goes out the window.
Like there was a big town meeting and it was a
Yeah.
bunch of praying mantises. Like, geez.
That was. All right, we're gonna go to a break real quick.
All right, we'll be right back.
So we'll be right back.
What's going on, everybody? We are back. We're the Poorly Edited Podcast. We are live on WXLV, the X.
Feels good to say that again.
It does feel very good to say that again. You know, if there were people out there who are only listeners and they haven't actually seen, they don't keep up with us on YouTube, they actually missed a whole lot of stuff that happened. I don't know, you know, I think we should go around and talk about maybe our favorite episode that we had outside XLV. I can go first if you guys need
I need
some
to think
time.
about this.
You know, we had the opportunity to bring on a ton of bands in the Lehigh Valley. So if you're at all into the music scene here or you want to be into the music scene here, we sat down with a bunch of bands that are really cool. And if you are interested in that, definitely check them out. But I think that if I had to pick one episode that you cannot miss. I think it's definitely worth watching the Colt Barron episode that we had.
Oh yeah, that one was
That's a
fascinating.
good one.
Such an intriguing and interesting conversation about art and creativity and the effects that it has on you and the different ways that it influences you. It was just so cool. I mean, that's probably an all-timer for us, let alone one that you definitely have to make sure you watch if you missed it while we were away.
Yeah, it was really fascinating.
For sure.
It's really cool to talk about art on that deep of a level with some dude who like
Probably spends all day.
I mean, there's
all
us
he thinks about.
who like we make art, but I don't describe any of us as artists. But like
Thanks, Matt. I
Colt
appreciate
Barron
it.
is an artist.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I understand that distinction.
Yeah.
That's fair.
He's
for
like,
sure.
Yeah. Like, if you saw him on the street, you'd be like, that dude jaws in his room for like 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
Probably.
And then throws it out because it wasn't good enough.
He's a very intelligent,
yes.
animated character,
Yeah.
and it's just wonderful. I can't pick my episode.
I think I know mine.
Okay, go ahead.
Mine's Books as Bad as Twilight.
That was fun.
That was a really
fun one
we
for
had
sure.
2 girls from another podcast who review bad books on. It's called Books as Bad as Twilight.
Yeah.
It was
doing God's work, reading all the bad books so we don't have to.
which was hilarious to talk to them
Yeah, it was
because
a
they're
lot of
really
fun.
funny. I mean, just choosing that as a premise for a podcast is really funny.
Yeah. You don't have one, Amresse, you don't think?
I have commitment issues, as we all know, so it's a toss-up between 2.
Okay.
And one would be our episode with Courtney Callie, who's
Oh, that was
That one was
fun.
fascinating.
who's
too.
amazing, past American Idol participant.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
yeah?
makes video games.
She does everything.
Wrote
She does
a
literally
book,
everything.
And I think 17 years old. That episode is interesting. She's a beautiful, amazing person. That's fabulous.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That
and
one
then,
kept getting more interesting too.
Yeah.
Because we knew like
Yeah.
there was enough for us to be like we should have her on, and then it kept getting better.
And
once
then
the
at like
podcast
the very
started.
end, she's like, "Oh, I was also on American
Yeah.
Idol." I'm like, don't we have time for this?
Is this a real thing? And then during the show, I'm looking it up, and there it is, her with like Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey
Yeah.
on the show, and I was just like, wow. And then the other episode I would say would be the airspace episode, which I
was
personally
fun.
loved because he gave that live
Oh
performance
yeah,
for
Yeah.
us.
that's wild.
That was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was lovely. Please go check those out. Comment on YouTube and tell us which episodes are your favorite at the Poorly Edited Podcast on YouTube.
The other one I kind of forgot about was I'm forgetting his name. The other live performance we had.
Penn Johnson.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That was a fun episode too. That was
that
a
was
really
really
funny
good.
episode.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Which afterwards we got to go
We got to
out
see
to his
his
van,
van.
Yeah.
which was also his home.
Yeah, so this is a guy who travels around the country in his van and plays music, and he's incredibly talented and very interesting to talk to. That's another good one. I also think it's important to shout out all the people who had supported us during our downtime. Josh Brennan and his whole family for allowing
yeah.
us to shoot a bunch of episodes there. We had Chris Kennedy and his family allowing us to shoot at the Live at 13 venue, which that was such a cool thing to be able to do. Even our own Amresse and our own Pat allowed us to shoot an episode or two here and
Forgot
there.
that we had
For the
an episode of
basement
mine.
and
Yeah.
attic crawl that we happen to
Yeah.
have. And our team has been so flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should all get gold stars for being extremely flexible. And our guests have been amazing because our guests were like,
Yeah, I'm
where
always
are we
surprised
filming this
people-
episode?
Yeah.
Who knows?
People
Who
agree to come
knows?
on in the first place, and then
Yeah.
we make it more annoying, and they still come on.
Yeah.
That's always surprises
Yeah,
me.
yeah, their willingness to just go to a stranger's house,
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Where's the
We've had a lot
show?
of support.
Where's the show? Is it at your studio? It's actually in this basement.
It's also really weird.
of
So
people-
we do it at Live at 13,
which isn't
and
our
then,
home
like,
at all.
Chris
Yeah.
Kennedy's mom would answer the door, and they're like, "Whose mom is that?" And we're like, "None of ours.
Yeah.
We don't live here."
Yeah.
Isn't she awesome though?
Yeah.
Shout
for
out
sure.
to Mrs. Kennedy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy.
Yeah, and
you guys are amazing.
That's another one. If you guys are into the music scene and you don't know about Live at 13, make sure you watch the Chris Kennedy podcast that we did while we weren't here at WXLV, where, I mean, he's a 19-year-old kid. He had 135 people in his basement for a venue.
Yeah,
like,
talk
these are the
about-
things that are going on that are just underground that we're
That-
trying to shed a light on.
That last event that Live at 13
That
had was amazing. You
amazing.
had Airspace, Run from the Radio,
Waymaker, Bobby Mahoney, Will Wood.
Will
Oh, my
Wood.
God.
Will Wood was
Such a
amazing.
good show.
And we're going to see Will Wood, I think, on the
Some
20th.
of us are.
Some of us
Some
are.
of us are.
On the 22nd,
are
he's
you out of
playing a
that,
dinner
Zach?
I never bought a
theater.
ticket.
On a dinner theater show.
Are they still available?
They could be.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Here, let me check with my wallet.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, not
Oh,
available.
that's a shame.
But if you guys weren't at that Live at 13 show, which you should have been, you have to be at the next one. There will be one coming up probably pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
There has to be. follow Live at 13
Yeah, talk
on
about
social
stuff
media.
Going on in Bethlehem.
I know.
Yes, talk
listen,
about
guys,
stuff going on because they've always got something going on. It's funny, great people, safe environment,
Incredible atmosphere.
incredible atmosphere, amazing music and talent. I think that you would. I don't think it's possible to not have a good time at one of their events.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
It just completely transforms your mood. It's incredible.
Yeah. And we say all the time that the first time we were going to go there, we all had a lot of not great things happening that day.
A lot of stress.
A lot of
My
stress.
day was all right,
We
actually.
were
Was
in
it?
it.
Okay.
We were in a very bad mood, and we just walked in the door, and we had no idea what happened earlier that day. We
Yeah.
were like, wow, this is amazing. Just the second we
That's
walked
when
in
we
the
met
door.
Scruffy, who changed my life.
Yeah, Scruffy the dog. Scruffy the dog.
You know, just shedding light on stuff like that, that's really what we're all about here at the Poorly Edited Podcast. And, you know, it's just been so great to discover all these people and to be able to sit down with them. And whether it's somebody like Chris Kennedy, who's on the rise to being someone really special, or if it's somebody like Daniel Roebuck, and he's not going to be the last one on here.
I think what I learned from today is that if you're sitting at home thinking nothing's going on,
You got to dig.
then you gotta dig
Yeah.
or start something.
Yeah.
Because you could either, if you're just sitting around doing nothing, everyone else who's sitting around doing nothing, they're all contributing to the problem. There's nothing to be going on. So either find something that's going on that you can help with, or start your own thing.
I just personally don't feel like you have to dig. I don't. I feel like there's so much.
No, I think
that
digging is the wrong word. Yeah.
Digging. I feel like it's just popping out at you everywhere. Art and culture, and there's something for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not just. I know that Daniel mentioned a lot about different theaters, and if that's not really your thing, there's so much more going on. There's music. There's art. There's
Also,
crafts,
if you think it's
there's-
not your thing, give it a shot, because theater is pretty cool.
And then it might
It
be
really
your
is,
thing,
yeah.
and you won't be bored. So if one attempt at liking something could lead to a lifetime of not being bored, and being bored is the worst. So do yourself a favor and try something new.
Yeah, try
All
the
right.
Poorly Edited podcast. We'll bore you to
I
death.
would-
It'll be
Yeah,
great.
for sure. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media at Lab212. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on it all, literally all of it. And now, thankfully, we're back on WXLV. We'll be here every week. And coming up next, we have Noah Hessinger with his show, Getting Off Track. And I believe it's actually his last episode. Spoiler alert. So definitely make
Does that mean he
sure.
gets back on track?
That's a good point. Noah Hessinger finally back on. Oh, we got the bell. Well, here we are, everybody. We're home. That feels good. That feels good.
That feels really good.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.